All right. Hey.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Bairton Brown. Wow, it's a pleasure to have you.
I appreciate that. Likewise.
You go by the pronouns he, they.
Mm-hmm.
You are a writer and director.
Mm-hmm.
And you grew up in Chicago. Can you tell me more about your childhood?
Absolutely.
What was the sort of what inspired you to be who you are today?
Absolutely. My journey is certainly tied to my father and my whole ancestry, but my father grew up on the west side of Chicago in Homeland Square back in the 40s and 50s. He was a part of the first generation of the non-segregated Marine Corps. He had a racist officer who hit him over the head with a shovel. He got an honorable discharge and was able to use that to get out of Chicago and get a degree at IUSB, where he met my mom in South Bend, Indiana.
Wow.
That's where I was born, and there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity there, so I was able to, with my mother, who was a travel nurse, live around the country. I lived in Oregon, I lived in Wisconsin, and then I lived in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, where I ended up getting involved in the arts as a child actor. I worked in community theater and regional theater, and then I even went to Interlochen Arts Academy in northern Michigan, where I studied theater performance a couple of years.
Wow.
Then I graduated high school a couple years early and went off to DePaul, all the way back in Chicago, because I was so committed to working at the Second City Training Center, the Temple of Satire. I always admired how, in the medieval kingdom even, the jester was the only person in the court who could openly challenge the king without immediately being beheaded. And that kind of protest art, wanting to scream something from the top of the mountains and being able to do that through the arts, was really what brought me, to DePaul first as a BFA acting major, and then as a directing major, where I was able to direct Kyle's series, Naomi and Levi Take on the World, which got picked up by OTV.
I saw it and it was incredible. I really loved that series.
So glad to hear you enjoyed it. Absolutely. It gave us both momentum, and me to go to NYU and study arts politics for my master's degree.
Tell me more about that, because I feel like there's this big conversation not only in the art world, in the film world, or even in the publishing world, the directing world, of like people almost feel like sometimes art should be for art's sake, but it shouldn't be about telling a message or a political process. Like, can you tell me more about the art and politics? Like, why did you study that at NYU, and how has that informed your practice as a writer-director?
Absolutely. From the very beginning of my artistry as a child actor, I encountered this mistruth that there is a such thing as apolitical art or apolitical anything. But really, unfortunately, everything in life by nature is political and about the balance of power, whether it's equitable or not. And 100%. That was something I continually had to contend with. Unfortunately, whether it be in high school or in college, unfortunately, white tears would often derail conversations or lessons where, in order to get the education I really desired on those subjects, I had to take it to the graduate level. And I'm so grateful for the recommendations and the opportunities I had at NYU to study under Oscar Eustis from the Public Theater or Anna DeVere Smith. One-person shows changed my life, and it allowed me to find a middle ground between theater, film, and teaching as mediums, and really again lead us to writing Blacktopia in so many forms, as a book, an audio series, or screenplay adaptation that we hope to get picked up, and much more.
Yeah, I love that. So many things to unpack there. I almost feel like the idea of politics or the politicking process, it seems like we're, at least in modern society, we're so disconnected. It's been pigeonholed to like going to vote as like that's the only thing. But like politics is something, it's a politics of the other. It's a politics of our bodies and our minds, our spirits. It's our day to day, and it's like how we behave and connect with each other. It's so intricately connected to these things. Like, and yes, we are here to talk about Blacktopia, and it's a celebration of the release of this fantastical world. I had two questions. Give us a little bit of what is Blacktopia, and how does it feel right now to be sitting in this chair and about to launch this story that is very dear to you, and that you collaborate with Kyle and a lot of different Black writers. Because I always like to see it in the context of like many years from now, you're gonna look back at this moment and you're gonna be like, this is who I was. But like, what does it mean for you right now to release Blacktopia and to have like engaged in the writing and the directing of the audio drama?
Absolutely. It's a blessing. To answer your first question about what is Blacktopia, Blacktopia is an Afrofuturist sci-fi series set at the turn of the 22nd century when a young black scientist discovers a hidden utopia under the sea and vows to protect it from saboteurs inside and out. It's been a really wonderful creative process, like you said, working with Kyle Hinton, who wrote Naomi and Levi Take on the World, but also other black creatives who've been able to come into our collective and out as actors in the world out of our control, such as the strikes or pandemics or genocides have gotten in the way. It's been wonderful to get to continue with you on this process and work with all of the writers who've been able to join us so far and all of the writers who will join us in the future. Again, to answer the latter half of your question, I am just so immensely grateful for this opportunity to publish my first book through Syllble, to join the wonderful Syllble community that we continue to build out through Syllable Con, and to participate in these ways is an immense blessing. And I'm so helpful that through Stonehaven we're able to co-partner and create an audio series adaptation as well, that not only I think will expand our audiences alike, but they will also really bring us together in our mission to fulfill the vision of Blacktopia. And so I'm really grateful to be in this position and to be able to spearhead this project, and I can't wait to be a year from now looking back in all the ways it's expanded since.
Absolutely. I feel like I love the name Blacktopia. It just rings so nicely on the tongue, and it evokes such profound images, especially for like us black people, people of color, brown, black, women, queer, people from marginal identities who are seeking liberation, who are seeking visions of a possible world where they don't have to wrestle with their own humanity every single second. And I feel like a story such as Blacktopia really captures a lot of that essence. And I feel like the arch that you've crafted in terms of the book 2 and book 3 creates a really dynamism that brings in the arts and politics. Can you talk a little bit about how is Blacktopia political art? And how is Blacktopia sort of addressing that zeitgeist of the year? And for some of our listeners, we hosted the science fiction and convention Syllable Con last year, and Bairton presented his piece on what type of art is necessary for our time today, and we released the Syllable Manifesto, which launches this movement of collaborative world building and inviting creators. So I'm intrigued to see like where the rubber meets the road with this text, with this novella and this audio drama. How does it sort of extol these virtues of utopianism, of black excellence and vision? Like, what are the political nature of that story when you are crafting it?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you brought up the Syllable Manifesto, because I think exactly like you're saying, Blacktopia is the manifestation of that manifesto in so many ways. Not only in who it is centering and taking what used to be Eurocentric values or ideals or conversations and viewing them through an Afrocentric lens, but as you address, also addressing an international and transnational zeitgeist, as we see so many unfortunate things happening around the world. We're all asking these similar questions about what constitutes a utopia or a better society, at least. And this book not only seeks to answer those questions, but inspires us to ask those questions. And I think that even goes back to the wonderful work that the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was doing here in California 60 years ago, that they realized one of the highest values of art was raising the public consciousness and educating the masses and inspiring them to come together around issues such as these. And so I think Blacktopia is not only Syllable's and Stonehaven's way of seeing that mission through, but personally as an artist, my own way of seeing that through as well.
Absolutely. And I read the book and I really liked the stories, and I like how the sort of, I really like the founding mothers who started the Blacktopia, and then the tensions around gender and patriarchy that they're addressing, and also the main character is even pushing for. And I feel like that brings such a tension in terms of our world that is dominated by like male patriarchal sort of values, and kind of bringing a sort of, I love the sort of Audre Lorde's womanist tradition, where we look at like the Black feminist traditions in terms of like enabling space to see the other. And I feel like the Blacktopia world kind of extols a lot of these values. Yeah, I think we're nearing the end of our conversation. But what would you want to tell the world in terms of, because we're launching this challenge around where's your Blacktopia?
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that challenge, and then how can people get involved? What can they do to kind of be part of this sort of imagining possible utopias in their own lives?
Absolutely, thank you for asking. That's certainly in alignment with Syllable's values of collaborative world building. We want to invite the audiences and fans and creatives alike to share where they envision, or where they felt, smelled, tasted, seen, experienced Blacktopia in their own lives or imaginations, to help us collectively really solidify those values that we want to bring into the 21st century, and hopefully prevent a 22nd century that's as abysmal as the one painted in Blacktopia.
Absolutely, that's incredible. The book comes out June 3rd, 2024, and we are also having a book lunch party as well at June 7th in Los Angeles. I'm so excited to be working with you, to publish you as a debut author, and many more stories to tell. And so thank you so much, Bairton Brown.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Thank
And
you.
make sure to check out the audio series premiering on June 7th as well. Thanks.
Thank you.